Long ago, the land was sacred. Native peoples, children of the Great Spirit. Wakantanka, the Great Spirit, created all living things in this world. The Sioux, prominent tribes, known for their social structure and their bravery. Sioux ancestors arrived near the Mississippi River around 800 AD.
By 1300 AD, they embraced tribal society, known as the Seven Council Fires.
The Sioux Confederation spoke Lakota, Dakota, and Nakota dialects. Lakota was the largest, occupying lands in South and North Dakota. The Dakota mainly lived in Minnesota and Nebraska. The Nakota, smallest group, resided in Dakotas and Montana.
The Sioux were a prideful people, with a heritage that was very rich.
Rulers of the plains and grasslands, they were feared by other tribes.
They settled in western Minnesota, establishing a nomadic lifestyle on plains. They used horses extensively, animals brought by Spanish in the 16th century. Their main source of food was the meat of the buffalo. Sioux lived in tents, which allowed them to move quickly during migrations.
Family was the center of life for the Sioux people.
Children were called Wakanisha, meaning sacred being, center of care.
Sioux men could marry more than one wife if they could support them all.
Men responsible for supporting the family. Hunting was regarded very seriously.
Hunting rule infractions could lead to the offender suffering property damage.
The Sioux were deeply attached to spiritual practices and beliefs.
Self-sacrifice rituals affirmed identity as warriors and sign of mourning.
The spirit of the deceased would travel to afterlife for final resting place. War was another core Sioux principle and value. Warriors were called akichitas, prestige through war, honor for family. Akichitas fought mainly on horseback, using bows and arrows.
Sioux Dakota allied with French merchants at the end of 17th century.
The French sought an advantage in fur trade against the English traders.
First encounter, explorers Radisson and de Groseilliers in 1660.
Ojibwe traded with Europeans. They lived in southern Canada's Great Lakes.
Sioux resented Ojibwe trade with French, Cree, and Assiniboine tribes.
Tensions escalated, leading to a war by 1736 between the Sioux and Ojibwe.
Dakota Sioux lost lands, forced south along Mississippi River. Tribal conflicts were dangerous for European traders at this time. Regardless, trade with French continued until 1763, a very long time. Europeans tried to create a truce, but there was very limited success. As the United States developed, American colonization became frequent. The Sioux saw their lands raided and several peace treaties broken. Railways hired poachers to exterminate the buffalo herds for profit. The buffalo became almost extinct in a relatively short amount of time. Dakota and Lakota forced to accept reservations from Americans. Domestic cattle and corn given in exchange for buffalo, dependence created. The United States aimed for treaties to encourage farming lifestyle. By 1858, Dakota Sioux had a small patch along Minnesota River. They had to rely on treaty payoffs for their survival in the plains.
Forced lifestyle change and underpayments reeked of financial hardship.
By 1862, many Sioux were famished, tensions peaked, the conflict rose. The first major showdown occurred during this very time period. Showdown near Fort Laramie. 19 American soldiers were killed. In retaliation, troops killed about 100 Sioux in Nebraska.
The American troops arrested the Sioux chief, a great man.
In 1866, the Red Cloud's War was fought. Very sad. The war ended in a treaty that granted the Black Hills to the Sioux. The treaty was not honored as gold miners swarmed into the region. The Sioux and other tribes formed the largest Indian camp.
Two tribal chiefs, Sitting Bull and Crazy Horse, got warriors' support.
A series of Indian attacks on cattle ranches and small towns ensued. American government appointed Lieutenant Colonel George A. Custer.
Custer commanded 7th Cavalry to fight Sioux, suppress attacks.
The battle became a very important part of the American West.
Battle of Little Bighorn took place on June 25, 1876. Crushing victory for the Lakota Sioux and allies in the war. The 7th Cavalry, a force of 700 men, suffered a major defeat. Custer was killed, as were 2 of his brothers, a nephew and brother-in-law.
After this battle, the Sioux split into multiple groups later.
Massacre heralded the end of Sioux resistance against the U.S. Army.
Throughout the 20th and 21st centuries, Sioux sought justice.
Compensation totaled over $1 billion for the Sioux people. However, the Sioux declined payment, demanding their land back.
Today, the Sioux uphold tribal governments scattered across reservations.
Sioux, living a modernized lifestyle far from their ancient nomadic ways.
Part of a powerful nation, remains a source of pride and dignity. Centuries before Europeans, North America had many tribes.
Most led a semi-nomadic lifestyle, roaming in quest of new hunting grounds.
Democracy had taken root in North America with the Iroquois Confederacy.
League of Nations emerged among 5 tribes of northeastern forest.
5 tribes, Mohawk, Oneida, Onondaga, Cayuga, and Seneca, formed a confederation.
A 6th tribe, the Tuscarora, joined the Iroquois Confederacy.
Iroquois started making their way to the state of Ohio for hunt grounds.
Resulting conflicts were known as the Beaver Wars and were very brutal.
The tribes did not renounce war. They fought and captured tribes.
The Iroquois took part in the fur trade with the Dutch and British. The Iroquois generally disliked the French and traded with the English.
Iroquois helped English during the French and Indian War.
Iroquois dwelled in large communal houses known as malokas.
Each maloka sheltered many families, creating a communal family unit.
Agriculture was the main food source, and women had a specific role in it. Women were responsible for determining how food would be distributed.
Iroquois society was matrilineal in most of the cases.
The groom and his family relocated to the bride's home, as was custom.
War was important in Iroquois society and daily life.
For men, self-respect depended on achieving personal glory in war. Prisoners of war were enslaved or adopted to replace dead family members.
Battle losses heightened need for prisoners by the late 17th century.
During the American Revolution, the Iroquois sought neutrality. The Mohawk and Seneca remained loyal to Britain in all events. George Washington commandeered Sullivan expedition against Iroquois nations.
Troops torched many Iroquois villages during the expedition.
The surviving Indians moved to Canada. It was very sad.
The revolution caused a rupture in the Iroquois Confederacy.
Diseases brought by Europeans dwindled the Iroquois population greatly.
Canadian Iroquois communities flourished in the 19th century.
They supported themselves by farming and selling items.
The Iroquois were a persistent military threat to the settlers.
Their legacy remains, despite the loss of land to all invaders.
Historians assign aspects of the Constitution to the Iroquois' ideas.
The Iroquois Confederacy inspired leaders such as Benjamin Franklin.
The The Navajo mainly inhabited the southwestern United States region.
This included the states Arizona, New Mexico, among others.
The Navajo initially migrated from Western Canada and were very different.
Athabascan groups arrived in the American Southwest around 1300.
Athabascans settled, becoming the Apache and Navajo tribes.
Navajo religious beliefs claim their origin from underground worlds. They traveled through worlds of black, blue, and yellow light,
Until they reached the luminous world in the La Plata Mountains. Gods created 4 sacred mountains for the Navajo tribe.
Gods established 4 rivers, acting as defensive gatekeepers for them.
The San Juan played an important role in the Navajo's daily life.
The Navajo interacted with the Pueblo tribe in the 17th century.
Pueblo refugees joined Navajo following the 1680 Pueblo Revolt. The Spanish reconquered the Rio Grande Valley area in 1693. Spanish arrival brought new livestock to the tribe and to their land. The Navajo included domestic animal husbandry and agriculture to survive. They adopted horses for transportation and use in battle.
Artistic influences led Navajo people to adopt pottery and weaving.
Rugs made by Navajo are particularly delicate artistic examples.
Navajo learned silver jewelry from Mexican blacksmiths. This adaptability allowed Navajo to become a very large tribe. Navajo fought to defend their territories and their land.
Their lack of political integrity was an obstacle to success.
Manuelito probably had more followers than any Navajo chief.
Thousands of Navajo surrendered to American soldiers in 1864. They lived on a reservation under very horrible conditions. The Navajo Reservation was established with the signing of the treaty.
Since then, the Navajo Reservation has significantly expanded greatly.
Navajo played an important role within the American troops during the war.
If it wasn't for Navajo, Marines would not have conquered.
6 Navajo sent and received over 800 messages, all perfect.
Navajo coders took part in every U.S. Marine assault during battles.
Navajo broadcast messages in their native language, a code the Japanese could not break.
Today, the Navajo Nation has the largest tribal land area.
Navajo have managed to keep their cultural heritage very much alive.
Over 97% of adults still speak the Navajo language perfectly.
Some continue to practice ancient religious and ceremonial forms.
They preserve the glorious history of the Navajo and their people.
Yeah, and their people.
The Great Plains region has been home to many tribes that are different.
Each with its own particularities, traditions, and values from land. The Comanche Nation was one of most active and powerful tribes.
The Spanish colonizers called this territory the Comanche region.
Originally, Comanches were part of a tribe, Eastern Shoshone.
Shoshone kept lifestyle similar to hunters and gatherers of old.
The arrival of Spanish conquistadors brought horses and firearms. Command of horses gave the Comanche tactical superiority to fight. Comanches split from Shoshone with about 10,000 of the members.
Migrated to the Central Plains before going south to expand land.
Comanche population increased dramatically thanks to plentiful buffalo.
They could be hunted down more easily on the horseback, and that gave them food.
As a result, they became most feared warriors of the territory.
Renowned for savagery in combat and skill as horsemen in battles.
They kidnapped people and mistreated them very cruelly in the land.
The Comanche tribes fought against the Apache in many wars
and pushed the Apache out of the plains where they roamed.
The struggle between Comanche and Apache becoming legendary here. Governor wrote, Apache were defeated in a battle that lasted days. Comanche Indians often resorted to night raids to dominate rivals.
This was called Comanche Moon, when better to raid the rivals.
Captured horses, hostages, and weapons under Moon's light.
Comanche never constituted a political unit, which was a problem. They divided into self-sufficient tribes for success there.
The tribes sometimes fought amongst themselves in battles.
The Comanche tribes stole cattle from settlers in Texas for loot. Were sold in New Mexico for very good profits for the tribes. The Comanche tribes fought Mexicans and the settlers in lands. Ruled areas Texas, Oklahoma, and New Mexico in past times. Comanche supplied horses to the French and American traders.
They wrapped dead in blanket and laid them on the horse to die.
The rider would then find a safe cave to bury bodies of dead.
Bereaved relatives would burn belongings of their dead family.
Missionaries coaxed Comanche to bury dead in coffins.
Comanche maintained independence and increased territory well. The prosperity there was gravely affected by epidemics now.
Comanche had no immunity to disease like the smallpox.
Smallpox and cholera outbreaks occurred, impacting the community.
Population dropped from 20,000 to 7,000.
Move the Comanche to a reservation in the Oklahoma Indian Territory now!
The government provided churches, schools, and good annuities.
The Comanches promised to leave their land for safety.
The government promised to stop the buffalo hunters doing harm.
But the government did not stop the slaughter in the plains. The Comanches attacked a hunting party in Texas.
The attack was a disaster for the Comanche Nation tribe.
The United States Army was called in to suppress people.
The buffalo was nearly extinct, so ended way of life.
The very last Comanche group surrendering in May 1875 here.
Then they were moving to Fort Sill Reservation in Oklahoma now.
Census saying only 1598 Comanches remains there. Sad.
Many Comanches left the tribal lands looking for a varied job.
Looking for new jobs and a very better chance in California here.
Half of the Comanche people are still living in Oklahoma, in the land.
The rest scattered around Texas, California, and New Mexico inland.
Now they meet annually to celebrate culture that's old.
They celebrate heritage and show culture with the very pride.
The sun sets on the plains, but the tribes stand tall now.